We spend the first 60 years of our lives obsessed with the physical metrics of survival. We count the calories on our plates. We track the number of steps on our smartwatches. We worry about the numbers on our blood pressure cuffs and the cholesterol figures on our lab reports. We treat the human body like a machine, assuming that if we just keep the gears oiled and the fuel clean, the engine will run forever. But medical science is beginning to uncover a truth that is both terrifying and liberating. There is a silent killer in the modern world that is deadlier than obesity. It is more destructive to your arteries than physical inactivity. The statistics tell us it is as dangerous to your mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes a single day. Yet, you cannot find it on a blood test. You cannot see it on an X-ray. No surgeon can cut it out, and no pharmacist can bottle a cure for it. It is a feeling. It is the crushing weight of loneliness and the devastating loss of purpose. If you are over 60 and you feel like your world is shrinking, I need you to listen closely. Because what you are feeling is not just sadness. It is not just the blues. It is a biological emergency. Let's talk about the biology of isolation. We tend to think of emotions as these fluffy, intangible things that float around in our heads, separate from the hard reality of our bones and muscles, but that is a lie. Your body does not know the difference between a predator hunting you in the jungle and the feeling of being chronically alone in your own living room. When you feel isolated, when you feel that no one sees you, or worse, that no one needs you, your brain perceives a threat to your survival. It triggers the amygdala, the fear center of the brain. This sounds an alarm that floods your system with cortisol. Now, cortisol is useful if you need to run away from a bear for 5 minutes, but when you are swimming in cortisol for 5 years, it acts like battery acid in your veins. It keeps your blood pressure permanently spiked. It creates chronic inflammation that attacks your joints and your heart valves. And most frightening of all, high levels of cortisol literally shrink the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. Think about that. The pain of loneliness can physically shrink your brain. We worry so much about dementia and Alzheimer's, yet we ignore the very emotional state that accelerates them. But why is this happening now? Why are we seeing an epidemic of loneliness specifically in modern seniors? It is because we have bought into a cultural lie about retirement. In the West, we are taught that the goal of life is to work hard so that one day we can stop. We are sold this dream of the golden years where we do nothing but sit on a beach, play golf, or watch television. We view retirement as a permanent vacation. But the human brain was not designed for a 30-year vacation. The human brain was designed for struggle, for contribution, and for community. When you retire and you step away from your career, and your children move away and your social circle begins to thin out, you face something dangerous. You face the void. When you wake up in the morning with no mission, with no one expecting you, with nothing that must be done, your brain receives a signal. And that signal is, I am obsolete. From an evolutionary standpoint, once an organism becomes obsolete, nature begins the process of shutting it down. I have seen this in my practice for decades. I see men who were captains of industry, powerful and sharp at 64. They retire at 65, and by 68, they look like ghosts. They have aged 10 years in 3. They didn't die of a heart attack. They died of irrelevance. But it does not have to be this way. In fact, we have a blueprint for the exact opposite. If we travel across the ocean to Okinawa, Japan, one of the world's blue zones where people live to 100 at extraordinary rates, we find a completely different philosophy. In the Okinawan language, there is not even a word for retirement. It doesn't exist. Instead, they have a word that might save your life: Ikigai. Ikigai translates roughly to the reason for which you wake up in the morning. It is your purpose. It is your mission. For a 102-year-old woman in Okinawa, her Ikigai might be holding her great-great-granddaughter. For a 90-year-old man, it might be tending to his garden to provide vegetables for his neighbors. It doesn't have to be a grand, money-making career. It just has to be a reason that pulls you out of bed, a reason that makes you necessary. The research confirms this. A study from Rush University Medical Center found that seniors who possessed a high sense of purpose were 2.4 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease than those without it. Purpose is not just a nice feeling. Purpose is a neuroprotective shield. It builds a buffer around your brain that disease cannot easily penetrate. So, the question becomes, how do we get this? If you were sitting there right now feeling that ache of loneliness, feeling that your best days are behind you, how do you turn this ship around? How do you lower the cortisol and ignite the Ikigai? I am not going to tell you to just be happy. That is useless advice. I am going to give you a protocol, a mental fitness routine that is just as important as the squats and balance exercises we talked about. Step 1 is the micro-connection. Many seniors isolate themselves because they are waiting for a big event. They're waiting for the family reunion, or waiting for the holidays, or waiting for someone to call them. Stop waiting. You must become the architect of your own social life, but you must start small. We know that simple, short interactions with strangers release oxytocin, the love hormone or bonding hormone. Oxytocin is the direct antidote to cortisol. It relaxes your blood vessels and lowers your stress instantly. Your assignment is to seek out micro moments of resonance. When you go to the grocery store, do not use the self-checkout. Go to the cashier. Look them in the eye. Ask them how their day is going, and actually listen to the answer. Talk to the mailman. Say hello to the person walking their dog. These interactions last 30 seconds, but to your brain, they are signals of safety. They tell your nervous system, I am part of the tribe. I am seen. I am safe. Do not underestimate the power of small talk. It is the glue that keeps your humanity intact. Step 2 is to find your new useful. The most damaging thought you can have is, I have nothing left to give. That is a lie. You have wisdom. You have patience. You have perspective that a 30-year-old simply cannot possess. The world is starving for what you have, but you have to offer it. You must find a place where you are needed, and usually that means looking outward, not inward. Depression and loneliness are states of extreme self-focus. We get trapped in a loop of thinking about our pain, our isolation, our problems. The fastest way to break that loop is to serve someone else. Volunteer at the local library. Read to children who are struggling with literacy. Their energy will become your energy. Go to the local animal shelter. There are dogs there that need walking. They are lonely too. Save them, and they will save you. Help a neighbor fix their fence. Bake cookies for the community center. The moment you do something for another living being, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. You feel relevant. You feel capable. You feel powerful. You are no longer a retired person. You are a contributor. Step 3 is to embrace the friction of learning. One of the reasons we feel old is that we stop being beginners. We stick to what we know. We eat the same food, watch the same news channels, talk to the same 3 people, and drive the same route to the store. When you do this, your brain goes on autopilot. The neural pathways calcify. The synaptic connections begin to wither because they are not being challenged. To stay young mentally, you must do things that you are bad at. I want you to learn something new, and I want it to be frustrating. Pick up a paintbrush for the first time. Try to learn 5 words of a new language every week. Learn how to play a new card game. Try to write in a journal with your non-dominant hand. When you feel that frustration, when you feel like this is hard, I want you to smile. Because that feeling of friction is the feeling of neuroplasticity. That is the feeling of your brain growing new connections. You are physically rebuilding your mind. Aging is inevitable, but decay is optional. There is a concept in psychology called generativity. It is the need to nurture and guide the next generation. It is the opposite of stagnation. As we enter our 60s, 70s, and 80s, our biological imperative shifts. We are no longer the hunters and gatherers. We are the elders. But in our modern society, we have forgotten how to be elders. We have just become old people. An old person is resentful of the young. An elder mentors them. An old person complains about the changing world. An elder provides the stability of wisdom amidst the change. An old person is lonely. An elder is the hub of the wheel, connecting the family and the community. You have a choice today. You can accept the narrative that you are done. You can sit in the chair, turn on the TV, and let the cortisol slowly eat away at your vitality. You can let the silence of the house become the silence of your soul. Or you can decide to matter. You can pick up the phone and call that friend you haven't spoken to in 5 years, not to complain about your hip pain, but to ask them, what made you smile today? You can walk out your front door and find someone who needs help. You can wake up tomorrow morning and ask yourself, what is my Ikigai today? What is the one thing I will do today to make the world slightly brighter? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Your legacy is not the money you leave in your bank account. Your legacy is the energy you leave in the room when you walk out. It is the warmth people feel when they think of your name. We have so much more to cover in this series. We have talked about the heart and the muscles, and now the spirit. But there is one fear that looms larger than all others. It is the fear of losing yourself, the fear of the fog, the fear of dementia. In the next episode, we are going to walk straight into that darkness and turn on the light. I am going to show you the specific brain foods that science shows can shield your memory. We're going to talk about the cognitive exercises that act like armor for your neurons. If you have a family history of memory loss, or if you just want to stay sharp as a tack until you're 95, you cannot afford to miss it. But for today, I want you to do one thing. After this video ends, do not just click to the next one. I want you to stand up. I want you to find another human being, whether it's your spouse in the next room, or a friend on the phone, or the cashier at the coffee shop. And I want you to connect. Because connection is not just nice. Connection is medicine. You are not done yet. You are just getting started.